Hey, welcome to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, a.k.a. the Batman. All right. You know what? It's good to be back. Couple of things that I'm going to jump right into. Definitely jump into. What I want people's opinion. I want their opinion on this situation with Jussie Smollett, the actor for Empire, who plays Jamal Lyon. You know, for those who are the show or you've been under a rock for 20 years, this is, who this gentleman is. Now, what's most disturbing about this thing is there's a lot of questions, and as they say, well, why would he do something like that? And we'll get into that. We'll get into that, and we'll have our own speculations on what and why. I mean, a lot of it is speculation. So, actor here in the city of Chicago, I take what I do very seriously, and it's not easy to do. It's not easy to get into. It really isn't. And it's a lot of work. I've been in the industry going on 14 years now, team season. And, I've worked on practically everything from Empire, Fire, Med, PD, Chicago Code. I worked on the feature films, Rampage, The Dark Knight. And my resume goes on and on. But each and every time it's still difficult. When we go into auditions, basically it's not an audition for the job. It is a room full of people competing for 1 to 5 slots that may be open. That's why I said it's a very, very difficult thing to do. It's not easy. Now, when most, and you take some of these actors who are pretty much in the game, such, you have your Terrence Howards, you have your Denzel Washingtons, you have your Angela Bassett's, you have your Viola Davises, your Colin Farrells, you have all of these individuals. Now these are people that are high profile, but then let's kind of go down to your B-list actors. And when I say B-list actors, we're talking about people like a Jeff Bridges, people like that. People that you don't, David Harbour, people that you don't see a lot out in front. And I bring this, I bring this up because being an actor, an entertainer, a performer, is a privilege, not a right. This is one of the industries that you can practically get into, and make no mistake, this is one of those industries to where you can get into. Say a person can't, if you have a background, might be sketchy, whatever it may be, but this is one of those industries where you can get in, and there's not a lot of questions being asked. You're not, it's not an application. You're your own. You're your own boss, basically. You're freelancing. You are farming your work out. Now, having worked 3 seasons on Empire, and really working closely with some of these actors, and knowing some, and even to a point knowing some of them personally, this is one of the things that is very it's not so much as disturbing, but it's appalling that this would take place, and this has happened. Now, there's a lot of speculation that since this incident happened, this was Jussie Smollett claims that he was attacked by 2 individuals, and they yelled out racial slurs, homophobic slurs, and put a rope around his neck. Now, The problem with that now is that now the investigation has turned away from the two individuals that they were questioning to turn into Jussie Smollett. Now it is being alleged that Smollett staged this attack because he felt that a threatening letter that he received a week ago, or a week prior to the incident, was not followed up or taken seriously. Okay, now I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna really go in on this. You felt, and then this, and like, remember, we don't have the full story, but a lot of this is still early stages of investigation. The story originally came out, and then he said also there's a alleged poured bleach. Now, if you've been following the story like I have, and only because I'm following it closely, because you don't want to believe that this happened, but at the same time, you don't want to believe that he perpetrated this upon himself to gain attention or to fuel certain things. Um, the two individuals that police had in custody in question over the weekend were two Nigerian brothers who the police found through surveillance tapes, and they caught them at the airport heading back to Nigeria. These two individuals basically, they said, we're not going to jail, we're going to tell it all. And this is what it's looking like. They are alleging that Jussie Smollett paid them to stage the attack, to gain the attention, and to apparently validate the letter that he received a week prior to this incident happening. Now, the huge question mark is, why would he do something like that? Well, unfortunately, and you may say I'm wrong for this, and so be it. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But this is indicative of a drama queen. And I'm saying that in a facetious way when I say a drama queen. Okay, everybody knows that Jussie Smollett is not only African American, not only but black, but he's openly gay. Okay, here we go with the drama queen, throwing a temper tantrum because you can't get your way. You cannot get your way. What bothers me most about this is that I've worked with this gentleman. I've worked with him on the show, and when you're talking with him and you're interacting with him, the nicest guy you possibly want to, but now you start to have the question. You begin to have the doubts in your head, like, what was your reasoning for this? Are you this petty because someone didn't take something that you felt was serious enough? Listen, when you're in this industry and you're in this industry and you start moving up that ladder, this comes with this comes with the territory. This comes with the territory. It's happened throughout forever and a day. Forever and a day. That's why you have security. That's why you have people screen your mail. Now, what this also does, and when this incident happened, Lee Daniels, the executive producer of the show, came out and he came out publicly and supported Jussie on this incident, and said that this was deplorable. And a lot of people kind of rallied around that, because you're looking at this individual as being who he is. This guy doesn't appear to hurt a fly. But now that this situation has really turned itself upside down. Now Jussie Smollett has hired an attorney, and it's so funny that he hired this attorney that Donald Trump had. I mean, not Donald Trump, but Manafort had. This is a guy who was part of Donald Trump's campaign, and this guy is going to prison. Now, make no mistake, I would not hire a guy who lost a case for another guy, and that guy is going to prison. No, we're not doing business because your job is to keep me out of prison. That's your job. That is your job. And right now, it's they're kind of tight-lipped on what is going on, how this is the direction it's headed, and Chicago police have been quoted as saying they eagerly want to talk to Jussie Smollett about this situation. Eagerly, meaning that they are, they're pretty pissed off. They are pretty pissed off because this is a person who first of all, you filed a false police report. That in itself is a felony. In itself, you will get jail time for that. And not only that, but it's a good chance that he could go to jail. Well, as it was said earlier, that he's black and he's going to jail. That's a strong possibility. Strong possibility. But what they're looking at is that the manpower and the resources that were used to follow up on this. Follow up on this. Now, quoting one the press, it says the brothers told police that Smollett was upset. A threatening letter did not get enough attention. Okay. What this does now is that any and all credibility just goes right out the window for him. That's number one. Number two, he has put a lot of people in a bad position. He has put the show in a bad position. He has put other actors in a bad position. Because see, this is where some of us work on this show. Not only that, but this the producers such as Lee Daniels and Danny Strong, this puts them in a very bad position. Because in all retrospect, they have to figure out what to do, because if he did this, if he's alleged to have did this, they have a bigger problem. Now, what do we do with this guy? And in most cases, when an actor has an offset incident, or something happens, or it's detrimental to the show, they start weighing their options, which means that one or two things going to happen. He will be written off the show, but not only that, being written off the show, this hurts his chances for any other film project or venue or music venue or record deal. This hurts him in so many different ways. That's why I said at the very top of the show why because it's so difficult, and this is a privileged industry to be in. Privileged industry to be in. It's not a right. It's privilege. And you take when you're on set, you savor that time. As an actor, when we're on set, we're looking for the next gig. We're looking for the next audition. We're looking for the next photo shoot. We're looking for the next commercial. We're looking for the next. Here it is that you have a guy who doesn't have to look for the next, and he's completely pissed it away. Completely. And at the same time, people are not going to look at him the same way. Listen, dude, okay. One of the biggest problems, and this is one of the biggest problems when, and make no mistake, I'm not gay bashing. And as I said before, and I say it often, I do not approve of your lifestyle. I'm not saying that I don't like you as a person. I just disapprove of your lifestyle. Point blank, period. But at the same time, when you are dealing, and mind you now, remember now, This is not the shared view of the station. This is just my opinion. When you are an individual, when you're gay or lesbian, you are suffering from some type of identity crisis. You're suffering from it. One day you don't know if you want to be strong man, or you just want to be this, or you just want to be that one day or the other. Make up your mind. And the unfortunate part when it comes to a lot of black gay men, there's a lot of they carry a lot of baggage, a lot of emotional baggage. And it apparently appears with this individual. Emotional baggage. Then Smollett goes on Good Morning America, and he sits down and talks with not Robin Robinson, but she escapes my the name escapes me right now. But he talks to the woman, and he sits there, and he was adamant about this did happen to him. He was adamant. His words were, and I quote him as saying, as she asked him a question, he said, "Who in the would do something like that to themselves?" Well, that's right now, dude, you're contradicting yourself, because apparently it's alleged that you did this to yourself, putting a rope around his neck. This goes on into making it seem like this was very homophobic and very racial. These two brothers who the police picked up, they're telling it all, because they've already made up in their mind, I'm not going to jail. I'm not going to jail. They gonna tell it all. This is a young man who, personally, it is an emotional thing for him, full of emotions. There are certain emotions that men. Let me rephrase that. Men are impulsive. We're not emotional. We are not. Women are emotional, which explains sometimes the decisions that they tend to make. Men, we don't have that luxury to allow emotions to dictate our decision making, to dictate our way, our walk. I'm like, okay, I've gone into a mini audition. I've submitted for a mini audition. Some I got, some I didn't. But the ones I didn't get, I'm not going to have a temper tantrum or flip out or go in a corner and cry like some 10-year-old girl. This is part of life. This is part of the game that we are in. So this guy it's alleged that he was upset because the letter that he received, the threatening letter that he received, he felt that they didn't take it serious enough. So what do? You create the situation. Okay, if that's not a drama queen, I don't know what is. If that is not a drama queen, I don't know what is. And I say drama queen with emphasis, meaning queen. And guys can't, and this is the unfortunate part of sometimes the realm that these individuals work in, as far as gay men, because of they're called, and some gay men are called queen, which is an oxymoron statement to begin with. To begin with. This is one of the issues that we that we're going to constantly deal with homosexuality, especially with black men. Emotional. Okay, emotional. This is a person who, like I said, who's throwing a temper tantrum because he couldn't get his way. You're a grown man. But remember now, you're a black grown gay man. And see that in itself opens the door to all types of things, to where the level of emotion now starts to play in. Emotional. Emotional. I mean, if any of you watch the show, and not taking anything from him, he's a fine actor. He really is. But when you when you're watching him when you're watching him do his thing, he does be you looking at the emotions that he has, and it's almost to a point to where it's a mirror of his real self, to where he becomes very emotional. Even when he was talking during the interview with the Good Morning America, he started tearing up and he became emotion and he was getting emotional. But now we're further down the road, and we're looking at now they're looking at another viewpoint, another angle, and say, hey, wait a minute, this, we need to we need to look at we need to reevaluate this on what's really happening, what's really going on, and did this actually happen? That is the thing that's really puzzling to law enforcement. And at the same time, Eddie Johnson has made it clear that they're going to follow up this investigation is going to go as far as it's going to go, and they're going to follow it until it gets to where it's going to go, and people need to be held accountable. And if Jussie Smollett did in fact create this drama he has to be held he needs to be held accountable. Needs to be held accountable for it. Meaning that if this was you or I and we made a false police report, our black asses is going to jail. Lock, lock, stock, and barrel. We're going to jail. There's several activists out in LA right now who are actually calling for Jussie Smollett's arrest, to be arrested. Now, to a degree, to a certain point, I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. And I say why I agree with that, because there has to be a precedent set, meaning equal treatment under the law. Equal treatment under the law. I'm a sidebar for a moment, and not to monopolize the entire thing. I'm just letting you all know that the phone lines are open. If you have a comment or you want to join in this topic, give me a call here at the station at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. We're talking about this situation with Jussie Smollett and the alleged self-attack that he perpetrated upon himself. Now, that being said, they're very these activists are very upset, and as they well should be, because also what this does is this shines a very unfortunate light on the gay and lesbian community. So now what happens is that if you have an actual attack, or because understand something now, what they're also trying to do is get this on the books, that if a gay or lesbian individual, gay, lesbian, transgender, transsexual individuals are attacked, they want to put this on the book. They want to put this as it's on the books as a hate crime. Now, the scary part about that is that this was easier to put on the books or get through legislation than it was for a black citizen to be attacked by a white man. But and they dance around it to saying, "Oh, it's not a hate crime." Well, what was the reason that you attacked him? Well, I didn't like him because he was black. Is that not a hate crime? That should fall under the statute of the hate crime. But see, this is where we're at in this. This is where we're at this particular point. Now, the other part, the other thing that's very this very discerning is the fact that Jussie said in his interview, as he said in his interview, those are the two men that attacked me. I believe that in my heart, without a doubt, those are the two men that attacked me. He said this. Here we go once again. Now, it's bad enough. It's bad enough that we have black on black crime. It's bad enough that we have this in our own community. It's bad enough. And it's bad enough that we have white society America continuously disenfranchising us, continuously robbing us of certain things that are rightfully ours. But here you have another black man that is apparently accusing two other black men of a hate crime, who, as it's starting to come together, are all in. And this is collusion. Who are all together. All together. This just compounds the issue of where we are right now, and why we are at the point of our existence to this very day. Just something that came across just concerning this case. It says the brothers are not considered suspects in the attack. They also claim that they were paid to stage the attack. Now, more information is that the actor is not slated to meet with police Monday, which would have been today, but his attorney said they will keep an active dialogue going with the Chicago police on his behalf. The FBI is investigating the letter, which was sent to Chicago studio for Empire. After the police department investigated the attack for weeks and a possible hate crime, they discovered one of the brothers had bought a rope and used the attack at a local hardware store. But this is the thing that you sit down. Now, remember, now he's an actor. He's an actor. He looks at a script, and when you're an actor, you kind of know how to, or at least you kind of know how to put things together. I've looked over a mini script and I've broken down scripts, and I know how to, put stuff together. But what's really mind-boggling is that you weren't smart enough to do this and not figure out what happens if we get caught, or if this goes sideways. Because make no mistake, the two brothers were getting on a plane and heading back to Nigeria, which had they not been caught, we probably still would be looking at this as a possible hate crime. Now, I'm gonna say this. When I first heard the story, I was a little surprised and a little shocked. Only because I work with the man. Only because I worked with him. Only because. And it just doesn't cross your mind that something like this would happen. Doesn't cross your mind. But you know what? I want everybody to hold. I'm gonna hold that point. And I want everybody to hold their thoughts. Hold your phone calls if you're getting ready to call in. We're gonna take us a little break here. Here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. We're gonna take us a little break. Hey, if you are hungry and you want something to eat, something that is good, something that's great, check out Captain Hooks. Holla at my man Alex at 159th and 159th 15922 South Kedzie, 103rd and King Drive, and 85th and Cottage Grove. 85th and Cottage Grove. Hey, we'll be right back here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
These niggas think it ain't crazy out here. Now bounce. Y'all gotta pardon me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here. When the spinner gotta hit him like new shit. They call me Batman, cause the black mask is on my face. Gun up on my waist, booted and suited in them black case. I'm looking for some hood rats that I take to the back cave. Y'all lame like blank man, while I'm steady serving them like pistol on my utility belt. Like, yeah, I keep my identity to myself. Like, you don't want me to grab that thing from the shelf. Like, I call him Robin, cause that's my only help, right?
Okay. Hey, and welcome back to iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Ron. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka The Dark Knight, here at the bottom of the hour. As an actor here, and having worked on the show. Now, mind you, I'm not villainizing Jussie Smollett. I mean, I think he's a fabulous actor. I think he's a wonderful, and he's a wonderful person. And I say that from personal experience of actually working with him, talking with him, interacting, conversation with him, and things of that nature. When I first met him, a few years ago when the show was actually starting, it was like one big family, and one big family that everybody talked with one another, everybody got along, and just listening to them, and working with Jussie and Bashir and everyone else. It was like they embraced us, the background performers, and we felt a sense of kindred, a sense of union, and having worked on the show. And one of the good things about when you work on that show is that they have some of the most awesome rap parties, and some of us were fortunate to go, and I happen to be one of those individuals that was fortunate to be selected, to go to the rap party, and when you go to the rap party is basically what it is. It's a party after when the show or film is close to done filming. They have a big party, a big bash. As much food as you want, as much drink as you want. You're mingling with the actors and mingling with Jussie, and not only that, but this dude can sing. This dude can sing his ass off. He can sing. He really can. And when you're watching the show and you're hearing all three of the brothers, when they're all doing their separate things, they all can sing. They all can sing. When you're looking at Andre's character, he's another. He can sing. He can sing. He can blow. He can sing. When you're looking at Jamal's character, yes, and not only Jamal, aka Jussie Smollett, but a lot of the material he writes. That's a lot of his original stuff. A lot. And working with him, and like I say, these individuals embraced a lot of us as family, because we're going to be working very, very closely together, and having conversated with him, and listening to how he grew up and how he got into the industry, because Jussie Smollett comes from a long line. Comes from a nice little line of actors, because his sister She's also an actress. I'm not sure if a lot of you remember remember this movie called Eve's Bayou, and it was Megan Good, and Megan Good was the daughter, and the young girl, that's his sister, and also she's been on the show too, and she's been on the show too. But he's very, and even when we're on set, he comes in, he speaks to everybody, he interacts and he chats. It's not an atmosphere where he's completely where he's standoffish, or he's pushing, he's not acknowledging you. He's not. This is one of the things that's disheartening for me as an actor, and having worked with this person, that he would be involved in something like that. He's allegedly involved in something like this. Allegedly. Now, when this first happened, I was shocked. Well, I was taken back a little bit, because I based it on what I know, what I my interaction with him, and that's what I based it on. And I said to several people, look, I don't, it's not my concern. Okay, he's gay, fine, but that doesn't take away from the person that he is. That doesn't take away from that. That's his activity, that's his conduct. But as a human being, as a person, I'm looking at him as a person and as a human being, as a person that I know. That's how I looked at this. And I was, and I strongly saying, I hope they catch whoever did this, because from the way where I come from, that was wrong. That's wrong. It's wrong. Let's say for the sake of argument that he's not involved. He's still a human being. This is wrong. Period. It's wrong. No one has the right to terrorize another individual, regardless to what walk of life they come from. Regardless, nobody has that. Nobody has that right. Nobody. It's relatively tenacious. It's going to be a really tenacious situation being on set, knowing all the brouhaha and the hubbub surrounding this situation. It really is. It's going to be very difficult. Very difficult. Now, to say whether he can survive this, that's a hard call. It's hard to say, because certain levels of credibility goes out the window. A lot of people came to bat for him. A lot of people. One of the stories that originated was that Jussie was being written off the show, and then Fox came out immediately and say, no, there's no truth to that. Jussie is a integral part of the show and the family. Okay. That's the thing where I'm referencing, that there's a lot of people involved, and he's put a lot of he's a lot of things are involved. You're talking about Fox Studio. You're talking about CineSpace. You're talking about the executive producers, Danny Strong and Lee Daniels. You're talking about people. You're talking about the other actors. You're talking about Taraji. You're talking about Terrence. You're talking about everyone else that is involved in that show, that it's difficult for them to support this if it actually happened. It's difficult to do. It's almost like, him going back to when he goes back to his job and hide out in his trailer, and even if they try to figure out what to do, it's going to be very difficult, because this is a domino effect. And the other part is the fact that this is not just city of Chicago. This is nationwide on what the situation is going on. That's why, as an actor, it's very personal for me to that we try to maintain a level of integrity with this business because it's very difficult. And for Jussie Smollett, he should know. He should. I would think he would know better. And that's based on my conversations with him. That's based on working with him. I would think he would have known better to say, no, this is not a good idea. Sometimes we have to let the process play out. And this is one of those things to where we will have to let the process unfold and play out. It may not turn out the way he thinks or we think, but it's going to have to. Eddie Johnson, the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, did say early on during this investigation that we are going to work diligently and finding and getting down to the bottom, getting to the root of what is going on, what has happened, and if it turns out to be other, people need to be held accountable for this. And this is what he's saying. Now, the unfortunate now early on, now when this happened early on, a couple of people even mentioned to me they didn't believe his story from the very beginning because it just didn't seem plausible. Did not seem plausible. Didn't see something. Something wasn't adding up. All the T's weren't crossed and all the I's weren't dotted. It's not unusual having worked on Empire, and Empire is notorious for having long hours of shooting. There's been times where I was on set one day and we shot for 17 hours. 17 hours. Okay. That means that we got to let's see, I think call time was 3 p.m. 3 p.m. We didn't wrap till 5 or 6 that following morning. There's 5 or 6 in the a.m. that following morning. It wasn't like we were outside. We were on set. We were at the studio shooting. But Empire's notorious for, they was notorious for that. So it wasn't uncommon on her for Jussie to be on his way home at 2 in the morning because he probably just finished shooting. But the other part is that these two individuals, and obviously Jussie had a relationship with these two gentlemen, because these two gentlemen were identified as also actors on the show. They were background performers on the show. These are two twin brothers. Now, how they all, and as I said before, we all interact, we all intermingle with what when we're on set and talking and this, that, and the other. And it's not unheard of for everybody to exchange phone numbers and say, hey, keep in contact, blah 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 blah. I mean, things of that nature. If anybody, if you watch Chicago PD, I know Leroyce Hawkins. When the first time that I worked on the show, he approached me and hey man, let's keep in touch, blah blah blah. Gave me his number and this, that, and the other. That's how this happens and unfolds. This is how it happens. Because people they're introducing themselves because one, they're new, some of them are new to the game, and they want to make you feel part of the family. And then sometimes people can get a little beside themselves, you get too far up the ladder, and then you just feel that you're not getting enough attention. This is not that type of atmosphere. This is not the game. What's that? If you want to, I'm sorry. Sorry for the distraction. Now, if you still, like I say, if you want to join in, you got a comment, you want to comment on this, give me a call here at the station, 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953 here at iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohm. But the this is it makes it difficult because it's already difficult if you're trying to be an actor and you're black. It's already difficult going in the gate. It's very difficult. But a lot of us keep trying, and we stick with it. We stick with it. Like I said, I decided in '05 to do this to be an actor full time, and it's paid off. It's paid off. A lot of us, we want this. We a lot of people, when they get into this, and they want that coveted piece of ID, and it's called a SAG card. Okay, now I'm SAG eligible, which means that I'm eligible to join the union, or the SAG it's the SAG is Screen Actors Guild, or which is the union for actors. It's great to be part of if you can get the work. That's the thing. If you can get the work. But the downside here in the city of Chicago is a non-union city, so SAG work is very hard to come by. That's why when you do get it, and you have to cherish it, you have to relish that, because they don't come very often. That is why this is so disturbing on what has taken place and transpired with Jussie Smollett, knowing how difficult it is to get into this business. It's difficult. It's not as difficult as trying to get into the music industry. Now that's very difficult. Very, very difficult. This is it's difficult. It's easy. It's not as difficult as trying to get into music. You got to, when you're an actor and you're trying to get into this, you're gonna have those ups and downs. There are gonna be points to where you might take projects where you don't get paid, but you want to be in a position to where you are taking projects and getting paid. Well, first of all, you want to be in a position to where casting is calling you and not the other way around, where you're submitting. Casting is reaching out to you. They're calling you, and that's where I'm at, to where casting calls me. They reach out to me. Hey, are you available? Hey, are you available? Hey, are you available? Next words out of my mouth: yes, I am. Yes, I am. And guess what? Yes, I am. I don't turn nothing down but my collar when it comes to acting. Nothing down when it comes to that. One of the things that I hope for this guy is that I can't speak on how I think it's going to turn out, but from experience and seeing how this is already spiraling out of control, and a lot of people are upset, mainly the Chicago Police Department, mainly because they to reiterate, they took resources to put on this case to find out what happened. They had 12 detectives working on this case. 12 detectives, and not only did they have the 12, but they, got persons of interest. Got their hands on persons of interest probably within 10 days of this alleged attack. And then one of the things that also the activists in California were talking about is that here's the other thing, is that did they move swiftly because of his status, or because of his status? Of course. When you have crimes that are happening, when you have murders that are still unsolved in Inglewood, Pullman, Austin, East Side, that are still unsolved, and you ask yourself, how many detectives do you all have on that? How many? I said, I don't believe in luck, but you know what? I hope I hope for the best for him. That hope for the best. I mean, because it's from a legal standpoint, it doesn't look good at all. Because right now, He's not really talking face to face. He's doing everything through his spokesperson and his lawyer. Very, very difficult to do. It's not looking well at all. Not looking well. But you know what, y'all? I'm not. It's just that's my time here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, the Chronicles of Rohm, because I see the helicopters in the background. See him in the background. So, to my sponsors, Nubian Beauty of Hair, check out their fabulous products at luxuryhairdirect.com/buy/Nubian4 dot. Remember, put the dot on the end of that 4. And Captain Hooks, 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 159th and Kedzie in Markham, Illinois. And in closing, not my monkey, not my circus. I'm going to see y'all next week.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
These niggas think it ain't crazy out here. Now bounce. Y'all got a part of me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here.